Hi there, Jasmine. Let's take a look at the set of essays you sent us. Okay, PlayStation. Fine. All right. The line graph shows the changes in the amount of millions of US dollars spent to buy an item in a 6-year period between 2007 and 2012. All right. Yes. That's okay. It is a little heavy. What do I mean by heavy? I mean that when you have a lot of these prepositional phrases in one sentence, it just becomes rather heavy and not so easy to read. Look at this. In the amount of millions of US dollars spent to buy in a 6-year. Okay, so it's just really heavy. And I wonder if there was some way we could have reduced all of this and made this a little more fluent. Okay? And fluid at the same time. So, for example, this to buy an item, I don't want you to think that you can't use the word PlayStation, all right? You absolutely can. Well, all you really need to do is just rephrase this a little bit. You don't want to copy any sort of like chunks of the sentence, but that doesn't mean you can't use the same words. So, let's see. What could you have said instead? The line graph shows, let's see, how does it say it? Okay, the line graph shows sales of PlayStation in millions of dollars over a 5-year period. Done. Okay? So, get rid of in. We never say in overall, we just say overall. So, let's see what you're talking about here. You basically have a pretty big increase and then a little more stable. All right, so besides during the entire period selling of PlayStation 3 had been experiencing an exponential increase, in 2012 it showed a small decrease. Okay, the grammar here is off. And I want you to be careful because with this little piece of detail, it ceases to be an overview. Remember what an overview is. It's just showing the biggest trend, the first real impression you get from what you're looking at. So, what would an impression be? You could say that for you could say that the sales of PlayStation experienced an exponential increase followed by a more gradual rise. Okay, that would be okay. But this, I mean, besides during the entire period selling, I mean, that's just grammatically completely off. And then, like I said, this is a little too detailed. Let's go on to the next paragraph. More specifically, between 2007 and 2011, people spent $1 million from 3.61 to 14.3 respectively. You don't need the respectively here, that's pretty clear, in order to buy this video games player. Okay, video game player. All right, fine. Curiously, at the end of this period of time, there was a tiny fall. We don't call it a tiny fall. All right, that's not appropriate vocabulary here. There was a slight drop, there was a slight decline, but not a tiny fall, which was of approximately a $500,000 USD. Okay, get rid of the of. Okay. Successively, the highest increase happened in 2009, where there was a rise of just over 9 million. Get rid of s, get rid of, and then use the right order here. Okay, here you could have said at, or you didn't have to say it all because you just said it was over 9 million. In just 3 years, in the middle of the survey time, it can be seen as, it can be seen a steadier trend. This is grammatically wrong. With a slight rise of exactly $1/500,000, this is awkward as well. This whole sentence, I mean, we need to rework it. Okay, so I want to try it again. So check it out. I don't understand this paragraph. Let me explain to you why. Because you start off okay, 2007, and then you go to 2011, and then you tell me that there's a slight drop. Okay, fine. And then you go back to 2009, and I just don't understand the progression here. I don't understand why you've chosen to do your paragraphs like this. There were a handful of things you could have done. For me, the most obvious thing would be I understand that you want to use two detailed paragraphs, and that's absolutely fine. I agree with that. But what I would have done is I would have split it right here at 2009. Okay, so I would have talked from 2007 to 2009 in one paragraph. Okay, and then I would have talked about the second half in my other paragraph. So you're probably wondering, okay, well, how can I possibly talk about this in its own paragraph? Well, it's actually really easy. So you could say something like, in 2007, PlayStation sales were $3.61 million. In the following year, this experienced a threefold increase, reaching $9.24 million. Okay, then you can say that this was the biggest increase throughout the period. Okay, it increased 3 times than from its original number. So that's the kind of language you can use. Then you could say, in the following year, sales continued to rise, but at a lower pace, reaching 12.85 million US dollars. Okay, and then that's your first paragraph. So then in your next paragraph, you could say something like, in 2010, sales remained relatively stable, okay, at 13 million US dollars. And then you can talk about the rest of the chart, okay? I'll let you do that. And those are the kinds of things that you could do here that I think would have made this a better written essay. Let's move on to your task 2, international marketing. There is a divergent opinion about if international marketing might be harmful or not for a nation. Some believe it is a precious value for a nation, which is an idea that I support widely, while others said it is a danger for the integrity of a nation. Okay, let's see. There's not a divergent opinion, but there are varying opinions. There's more than one opinion. And then you can't say you support it widely. That's wrong. You support it strongly. But if you say that something is supported widely, it means it's supported by a lot of people. So you can't use that here like this. And then I don't understand why here you used said. It should be say. Okay. And then this for me, it just feels like it ends kind of suddenly. I would have rephrased this. I mean, and I probably would have put your opinion at the end. So I probably would have said something like, while some say that it is a danger for the integrity of a nation, others believe it is a precious value, which is an idea that I support strongly. That works a little better. I also want you to be careful with how many times you've used the word nation. All right, check it out. You've got 3 times in this itty bitty paragraph. You've got 1, 2, 3. Careful. Use different words. Find pronouns to create cohesion. But just be careful with this. All right, let's move on. Some citizens argue. No, they argue in the present because there's something ongoing. So some citizens argue that we should be grateful when international companies choose their market nation, since our contribution might be extremely informative. To begin with, it is highly likely that the message used will be in English due to the fact that it is well known as a global language. Children and teens would be keener on learning it if they are listening television. No, if they are listening to, they don't listen to, they watch television advertisements in this foreign language. As a consequence, as soon as they reach their adulthood, it would be easier for them to find a job because they might be able to speak English fluently, successively. That's the wrong word. Not only will it be useful under an educational aspect, no, not only will it be useful from an educational aspect, but also it is my conviction, being in contact with not abroad, it should be foreign marketing industries, would be extremely useful to improve marketing tactics of a nation. Doing that, a country could easily improve its marketing tactics. You just said that, marketing tactics. Use a different word because they can use their strategies to implement their services. Okay, let's move on. On the other hand, opponents might be feeling threatened by this type of marketing industry. It is a fact that the bulk of elderly people are conservative, which means that they are not propense to changes as though it would be so harsh to deal with these new trends. All right, this sentence I want rewritten here in general because of a number of reasons. First of all, you're making a really big generalization that elderly people are conservative, okay? That's the first thing. And then the rest of the sentence just sounds a little bizarre, like with this propense to changes and it would be harsh to deal with these new trends. It just sounds very awkward. Not only do they think not only do they think it is completely wrong to open the door to foreign marketing companies, but also they say it might be dangerous on account of their values, such as integrity, loyalty, and sociality, which could be different from the society's beliefs. For this reason, I do disagree with this opinion because it might be related to the age of a target of citizens. All right, not the strongest paragraph I've ever read. You're basically saying that only old people think international marketing is invasive and intrusive. I just don't think you really developed this very well. I think that there was a lot more you could say in a more general sense rather than just sort of focusing on this one little target population. There's not much in terms of development. I mean, you talk about integrity, loyalty, and sociality, and I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, sociality, but you never really tell me how or why about anything. So it's underdeveloped. It doesn't look like you're really analyzing the topic at all. Let's see. And instead, it just feels like you're trying to show vocabulary, but not really content. And I want you to think about content first and then vocabulary. Okay? So to conclude, even though more conservative individuals say that international marketing is a treat for the safeguarding of a nation, look what just happened. You spelled threat wrong, and so it turns out to be a completely different word, and that completely different word completely changes your meaning. I strongly agree with their opponents who argue that it is a value for a nation since they can learn from their values and ideas. Value, value. Careful, all right? Try to avoid that repetitious vocabulary. Okay, so that's pretty much it about this essay. You've got some good elements, but we need to really work on pulling everything together, focusing on the content and the development of your ideas rather than, so much emphasis on vocabulary. I want to see you on the course, Jasmine. I think you'll find it really useful. There's so many suggestions on how to improve your writing, how to improve the development of your topic, and also to create a cohesive essay. So see if that's something you can do. I think that working together, we can help you kind of overcome those obstacles you've been having with your IELTS. So hopefully we'll see you on the course very soon. Lots of luck to you.